2, 1, blast off.
Welcome to episode 88. Mondo,
88.
I have a question. Are you now ready to own the social justice warriors?
The social justice warriors?
So, Mondo, where did you go? You saw a comedy show, yeah?
Yeah, I went to see Steven Crowder, host of Louder with Crowder, and then he had 3 different openers. One which the guy the main opener, Dave Louder, Dan Louder. I don't know the other guy, but both funny.
So, was any of Crowder's material political nature? And question B.
Oh, heavily.
Question B. Were any of the openers significantly funnier than him?
No, I would say he had the co-headliner, I guess, but really it was his show.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had 2 openers. The first one was funny. He came out kind of like with a little bit with a shtick. The second one, and then
What, you mean like he was like dressed like a cable repairman, or
no? He was dressed up as a reporter. I don't know the Louder with Crowder show very well, but apparently he has like recurring guests and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those guys, I assume, was one of his recurring guests. Just some guy dressed kind of like a schlubby news reporter, and during the middle of his act, he was smoking a cigarette on stage, and he was funny. He was just his style.
Okay.
So yes, all of them were funny. Crowder was funny if you lean towards political humor, which is not necessarily my cup of tea. Politics in general, not my cup of tea. But there were a lot of points that he made that I was like, had me.
Mine is getting indoctrinated.
No, I think I already had. There was a couple things he said that I was like, you're an idiot. But for the most part, there was a lot of stuff I agree with.
I want to see a Mexican white nationalist. I do think that would be hilarious.
There was, I was going to say that to because I went with 2 coworkers technically. One was a guy that works with me here, and another guy from our Utah store, and but they were both Crowder fans, so they knew his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to make a comment to them once we got seated. The seats are great. Once we got seated, I looked around, and in my head, I'm like, dude, there are probably less than 5 other people of color there at all. But that didn't change my...
I'm assuming that audience made the general population of Boulder, Colorado look like a sea of ethnic diversity.
No, it was about the same. But yeah, there was very few. There was very few people. I imagine Colorado Springs in general had more like Latinos, and there were some Black folk here and there and some Hispanic folk here and there. But at the event itself, being that it was a Steven Crowder show, was going to be like, I knew that I kind of knew what the demographic was going to look like. I was trying to count how many trucker hats I saw. There wasn't a ton, but there was a significant amount. It was just funny for
I was just interested because I have seen a Steven Crowder set. It was several years ago. Maybe he's gotten better. But it was just god awful when I watched it, and I think I'm actually able to evaluate comedy like separate from, I'm like, okay, maybe I agree or don't agree with these views. And like an example like with that, like there's a comedian named Andrew Schultz, and I don't think his stand-up's the best, but he had like a web show.
Yeah.
And again, agree or disagree with him, if you're not willing to admit that show was extremely well written and
it's
like
much
the jokes
better,
are good.
It's better than Crowd. In my opinion, they're both political leaning type humor shows, but I think Schultz pulls it off better.
Well, because I'm like, oh, he's actually funny and he has good delivery and like the jokes are at least intelligent.
Yeah.
Where again, the maybe Crowder has gotten better as a comedian, but I'm like, oh, this is a dumb motherfucker. Like lowest common denominator jokes about whatever he's trying to make a point on. That was my experience. So I was wondering if yours differed.
I wouldn't say he's dumb. I thought he was an intelligent guy, and maybe not the smartest guy. Did I agree? Like I said, I agreed with a lot of little political things, even though I hate politics. There's a few things I disagree with. My biggest problem with him as a comedian, because his thing is this podcast show. Like that's his thing. So stand up, I think, is not like his primary.
No, not
gig.
anymore. But he wants that sweet like
more money.
Cash,
Yeah. there was a majority of people were like getting up and cheering like he was God, and it was like, ooh, okay. There's people that wore hats that referenced.
Well, because they don't listen to good comedians, because almost all of them are liberal leaning. No, that's 100% true. I said I was being kind when I said almost all of them.
I wouldn't say
Yeah.
he's liberal leaning. I don't
No,
know.
Crowder's not. I'm saying almost all good comedians are.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's what I'm saying. They don't have anything to compare it to, because they're like, these damn liberal cucks, we can't listen to their shitty comedy. And compared to, like, quote unquote conservative leaning comedians, Crowder is pretty good, but that's just a very low bar.
Right. My biggest problem with him, just as a comic in general, is that, again, he doesn't do this. Isn't his primary thing. Is that you could tell he had his set list like on a sheet of paper, and he had a bottle of water like next to it on a stool. So he kept referring back to his stool, so you can like very visibly read his notes about like his, I guess his, like I said, his lineup of jokes. It wasn't like he had it memorized, which I've seen comics that have their list in front of them, and they make it apparent that they're doing it, and they make that part of the shtick. They kind of make that fit in with the humor, so they pull it off. And then there's the other guys that just have their shit up here in their brain, and they're telling a story or whatever. But like Crowder's in betweenness was what kind of threw me off of his.
Yeah, I mean, he's not like a really practiced or naturally good comic.
No.
So he's got that working against him. But he had a show of a bunch of, how many trucker hats? You said that you weren't as many as you thought?
No, I think
That's disappointing.
I probably got to like 20 or 30. Of the however many thousand people there, I don't know how many thousand people fit there, but of the let's just say 2,000. 2,000 it was a theater. It was the Pikes Peak Civic Auditorium. I don't know. Well, I'm sure we could look up the seating.
Okay.
But no, there's only about 20. I was thinking it's going to be more. I was thinking it's going to be like 50% of the people that are going to be wearing either trucker hats or like, pro-Trump or...
That is like the white nationalist uniform. It's like, it's a selfie with a trucker hat, those sort of like wraparound sunglasses that look like you got them for $10 at a gas station, and then a pickup truck.
Yeah.
It's the pickup truck mafia.
Sometimes with a mullet or a Confederate flag.
I feel like I see a lot more shaved heads than mullets these days.
Oh, really?
The mullet was, part of the old uniform. They moved on from that.
Dude, I wish I had hair. I would totally rock a mullet.
I mean, it would be nice to have the option at least, yeah?
Yeah. Sucks. But no, I had a good time. Again, my favorite of the four of the performers wasn't Crowder. It was his main setup man. I guess it's, again, I think he's one of his co-hosts, Dave Landry or Dan Landry or Landau? Something like that. His stuff was a little more...
He clearly left an impression on you.
Because I'd never heard of him before the night of the show. He had a little more of the kind of the just punch you in the gut, like silly humor, like here's the line, I'm gonna fucking cross it type of shit, So that I appreciated that stuff.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, my weekend activities are actually coming up after this.
Ooh.
Nothing like too exciting, but I was about to say long story short. I'm like, no, this will actually be a little bit long. Like very occasionally, like I will stress swipe on dating apps. That's the best way I can put it, right? Because I don't play video games anymore. Like I don't all those things. Like I'm not eating like desserts or whatever. Those little things that give your brain that dopamine hit. Where you're like, oh, like that felt that. You know what I mean? Like that little. That like energy where it usually lasts for like a minute, but you're like, oh, I got happy for a second. So like sometimes, I just want to stress swipe, and then you get a match, and you're like, oh, okay, somebody thought at least like my base level of attractiveness, as curated in these very specific photos, was enough to swipe right instead of left, and then you feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
So
did you feel kind of like an Instagram slut for a second doing that?
What's that?
Like an Instagram model?
No, because I'm not getting money. I'd feel a lot better if they were.
But I'm
paying
saying
me.
like getting the attention, getting the likes if it's a good feeling.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's not out there and is public, but it's kind of similar.
Yeah, and you didn't even have to show like your tits or your ass to get the like.
Oh no, you haven't seen my profile.
Oh.
Why do you think I'm getting all these likes, Mondo?
Oh, okay.
All these swipes.
I knew I was doing something wrong. Fucking. Nah, I think if I showed my schlonger, I'd get even fewer likes.
No, I'd have to change my settings where it was like interested in women, and then also just check the little interested in men. I feel like
Shit!
feel like I would. I mean, if I was really just purely out for attention,
Triple up your count.
I think I'd do pretty well there.
Yeah.
But this is how this whole thing unfolded. I was just trying to stress swipe, and I'm like, just give me one fucking like, Bumble, you piece of shit app, and then I swiped right, and the thing was like, I don't know if this is programmed into it or what, but I swear to God I swiped right, and then it went left, and it's like, oh, you missed a match. And
I've never seen that.
I was maybe I just sort of like fat fingered it or something. I don't know, but I was kind of annoyed because I'm like, oh wow, I can't believe that girl was gonna swipe right on me, and I should have been matured enough to just be like, I don't actually want to go out with her. It doesn't matter. Like, I can just know deep down in my heart of hearts that she had swiped right. But I'm like, no, I want the little screen where it says. So they give you the option where you can pay whatever it is, like $7, and then you've got the thing where you can unswipe a misswipe, and then you have an unlimited swipes for the week.
Oh shit!
So I pay it, and I get the swipe, and I'm like, yay! Like, I matched. Okay, I feel better.
So you paid $8 just for the match? Is that what it cost you?
Oh, and here's the funniest part. Then this is the first time I've ever had it. She sends me just like a short audio recording.
Oh,
I didn't even know you could do that. And she's like, "Hey, like I'm just getting back from like yoga class. I hope your night's good," or something like that. And then I'm like, "Oh,
did she do it in a sultry voice? It's like, "Hey, I just got back from a yoga class and I'm sweaty."
No, but let's pretend she did. She's like, "I'm very sweaty. How are you?" And I'm like, "Ooh, we're doing multimedia, like great." Oh, like, so now I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh look, there is a little audio thing, and you can do a video.
Wow.
So I send a very short video back, like, I'm good, it's a beautiful night, I'm just out walking my dog. And then she immediately unmatches.
Oh, what?
And I was like, wow, that was a slap in the face. I think fortunately my ego is just strong enough to sustain that, but I was like, wow, that was kind of rough.
No, you know what sucks about that is like what causes there, like, for all intents and purposes, there was no reason for her otherwise to be turned off by that. It's such
I don't think
clip
so.
video.
It was very innocuous.
Is she just like, oh, I assumed his voice was deeper? Like, it had to be some stupid, like, trivial, you know what I mean, to cause her to swipe or to unmatch her or whatever.
She's like,
or maybe she's not a dog person. Like, it had to be something stupid like that.
I just got back from yoga, and then I'm like, yes, I'm out, and it's a beautiful night tonight. It would only be better if you were here with me. Like,
yeah.
Is that, I mean...
Or she expected you to be, like, shirtless, like fucking pumping iron or some fucking
that's
shit.
where I went wrong. I should have been, like, just gone to my sauna, gotten really, really sweaty, and then just shirtless video. It's like, yes, I just got back from yoga as well, but it was a hot yoga session.
I don't understand women, dude.
But anyway, she unswiped. Again, I was, like, fairly unfazed by that. I'm like, whatever. I still got my little dopamine thing. I'm not going to think about it. But then at that point, I was like, motherfucker, I just paid,
yeah.
Like, fine. Well, I'm going to use my swipes and then actually, like, respond to them. Because usually when I get a match, I'm just like, okay, mission accomplished. Like, I'm not going to really follow up with any of them. So, like, I've talked to, like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 people. At this point, especially I've noticed with 40-year-olds, if you're just like, hey, let's just talk on the phone, they're like, oh, thank God. We don't. I think a lot of them have like messaging anxiety.
Yeah.
And I probably as a whole in the dating process, I'm not very good at it. But this one little specific part of like matching and that like texting back and forth until a first date is a strength just from all the college recruiting. so like, yeah, I've like talked to a few of them, and then I matched with one woman where I was like, wow, I think attractiveness, like, she's probably significantly out of my league at this point. Which is tricky because I do realize like I'm comparing myself to like guys in their late 20s, like early 30s. So I have no idea what people in our age group look like now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just like, oh, compared to even when I was like 33, 34, I'm not nearly as good looking as 33-year-old me. So there's a bit of that. Yeah, I mean, it happens to virtually all of us except for like 4 guys. Like George Clooney keeps getting better looking. Fuck him. It's not fair, George Clooney. I don't know how you're doing. I don't know if it's plastic surgery. It's some voodoo witchcraft deal you made with the devil.
It's genetics, dude.
Sure it is, Mondo. Sure it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, then going back and forth with her a little bit, and then she wanted to actually like go out, and I'm like, huh, like. And I always leave that's the other part which confuses me. In my profile, I like establish like medical problems, living with my parents. I am a catch.
Yeah.
So something about that like even does make me feel a little bit better when I'm able to get matches, because I'm like, I'm being very upfront. There's no trickery or anything like that. And so yeah, so to wrap up this whole portion, she offered like to go hiking, which I'm like, perfect. That's in my physical range of things. And then I remembered, and I think I'd asked you about it again last week. You had gone to Meow Wolf, which is like a art installation exhibit with Lizer. And in my head, I'm like, you know what? I very well may end up paying $100.
Oh, yeah.
And then get stood up. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna roll the dice on that. Like, fuck it. Like, I want to go to it. And I think it'd be fun to go to it with like a really like hot lady. I don't think she's a girl. Can you call 40-year-old women girls?
Woman.
She's a hot woman. It doesn't sound right.
Yeah. So hot lady
a
sounds better.
sultry woman.
Sure.
Anyhow, so I've got that at 4
Today?
today.
Oh, that's why you want to.
that's why I got to get out. Yeah.
My advice for Meow Wolf is, and because they don't tell you this when you fucking walk in, you just check in your badge and you're like, hey, where do I go from here? They're like, well, the best place to start is blah, 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 blah. And you're like, you don't know what the fuck they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
My advice is right when you walk in, a little bit to the right, there's like it looks like an information type kiosk where you pay like $3 or something like that, or $5, and they give you like this little plastic hotel key bullshit that allows you to interact more with different exhibits, if you want to call them exhibits, different things there. It kind of tells you a story of the convergence, the backdrop of the whole art thing. We didn't do it, and the fucked up thing about it is like I said, when we did it, we probably went through half of it, of the entire museum, if you want to call it that, before we found out like, what the fuck are these things? Someone told us. We're like, well, fuck, we just wasted a couple hours already.
If she wants to spend the $3 to get that, awesome. I'm done.
Okay, I'm just maybe I don't know. Never mind.
The way I have internalized this is like, I'm spending $100 for me to go to Meow Wolf, and that's it. That's all I'm spending.
Okay.
And if she doesn't show up, I will literally try to find someone on the street if I have time, and then if I don't, I'm going solo. My ticket was just a little extra expensive. I'm cool with that. I've made peace with that possible outcome ahead of time. So if it happens, like, whatever, it happens.
Well, good luck, man. Hopefully, you guys have some chemistry, and there'll be a second date if she shows up. If she doesn't,
No, I don't want a second. I just wanted to go to Meow Wolf.
if she doesn't show up, if she fucking leaves you, if she stands you up, she can fucking suck a fart out of my butthole.
Okay, I'll pass that along if that happens. I'd be like, hey, I have no problem with it. You know what? Stuff happens. But my friend Mondo wants you to know you can suck a fart out of his butthole. This is his address. You can and phone number. You can make plans to do that at your own leisure.
Speaking of things that cause us to match and unmatch and all this shit, moving on to Dealbreakers. Was that a good one?
That was good. I felt like that would be a natural, because we're already talking about online dating and whatnot.
Good job.
So for mine, I've formatted these a little bit differently.
Okay.
Like usually we'll talk, it's the second date, it's the third date, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
These are all just things that would make you swipe left or right. So like, are any of these like swipe left deal breakers where you see it and you're just like, oh no, fuck that?
Okay.
So my first one is if they say that they're fluent in sarcasm.
Which one's the one where you don't? That's left, right?
Left is no, I'm out.
No, left. That's stupid. Everybody's sarcastic to a degree, and sometimes sarcasm can be like, oh, you're just kind of a dick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not trying to be funny or witty. You're just kind of being mean in hopes that it sounds sarcastic.
Yeah, that's my experience, right? My experience is when people say that, they're just fucking assholes. And they're like, oh, no, I'm just kidding. I'm being sarcastic. Can't you take a joke?
Yeah.
And it's like, that was deeply hurtful.
Yeah.
And for me, usually when I am being sarcastic, it's kind of about more innocuous things, and then they think I'm serious, and then I have to explain, no, I was being sarcastic. It was like a joke.
Yeah.
and then they just think I'm a moron. And I'm like, you know what? I don't like this whole sarcasm thing.
Yeah.
I feel like if you understand sarcasm, you don't need to advertise that you're fluent in it.
Yeah. And again, I think there's like sarcasm is one of those things that where you and the other person that are joking, if you have like a familiar frame of reference or something, or come up with like a lot of things in common, then your sarcasm is kind of more in line with each other. Whereas if you're like a brand new person or you've never met a person, their version of sarcasm, like I was just saying, could just be like, "Oh, you're just being a bitch."
Yeah, like earlier when I was saying you're gonna become a Mexican white nationalist, I was joking. I was
I know.
sarcasm.
Exactly.
And I'm also a little bit worried about it. We're gonna talk off air. We're gonna make sure that you haven't been brainwashed.
No,
You're not like a sleeper agent now. But yeah, that was mine.
All right, my first one for you, sir.
Uh-huh.
She has her eyes tattooed black, or she has her tongue split in two, but one or the other.
That's a deal breaker for me.
Either one, huh?
Yeah, I'm pretty like I think I'm a little bit less conservative about some of these deal breakers than you. Usually I'm like, yeah, whatever makes you happy. I just that would just bother me. And it's like if you want to do that, great.
Yeah.
But I can't, that's when I just could not get around. Like every time I look at her, I just be like, oh, why did you do no?
Yeah.
No, and then maybe that goes back to one of my key roles on deal breakers. It's like if there's something about the person that just makes me physically unattracted to them, like there's nothing I can do about it. I can't fight that. I can't like big brain my way around it. It just is what it is, and that's a deal breaker. And yeah, I think like the forked tongue thing, I just be like, you're not a snake. Stop.
The reason they brought that one up was because I saw like an Instagram post earlier where it was like a chick that had her tongue split in two, and she had each half of her tongue in a different cup of like a different drink. And I think she was trying to experiment whether or not she could like tell the difference of the taste. I don't know what the fuck she was trying to accomplish, but it was like Coke and Sprite or something. But her tongues were doing that. It was really fucking dumb.
That's actually kind of funny. That would be a hilarious picture, but also gross at the same time.
Yeah, you're up there, Chief.
You want to become a serpent lady? That is your business. How tall are you, Mondo?
I am 5'10" ish.
If on her profile she says you have to be at least 5'10".
I would swipe right on that. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things like seriously, like you're fucking your bar is that low where you're like a heightist, like you have to be a certain, like shut the fuck up. Like I get it when you like when a girl says like I like tall guys or no whatever, but still like, to have it down where like you have to meet this minimum height requirement to ride this ride. Like,
I kind of get that though. For some women, if they're tall,
yeah,
I think I understand the psychology.
Yeah.
It's like they want
a guy at least as tall as them or something like that.
Well, yeah, they want to feel feminine, and if they're way taller than their guy, it doesn't really make them feel feminine. And they also want to feel like they're like safe and protected with their guy.
Yeah.
And I think for women, like the guy just being physically bigger than them is something that just gives them that sense. So I would get that. What if she was like 5'2" and she's like, you have to be at least 5'11"? Would you left or right?
Left. Like eat shit, you fucking midget. What the fuck? Suck my butt. My turn.
That would be a little hypocritical, I feel.
Oh, she wouldn't have to lean over to suck my butt. She's already low enough where she could just. Anyway.
You got a real ass play thing going on today.
Yeah. Aaron, your parents don't get along with her, but you are super into her. Like you're just like.
Why don't they get along with her?
I don't know specifics. I just kind of wrote that. There's something that I don't know. There's something that she is or does that rubs them the wrong way.
Oh, that might have to be a deal breaker.
Okay.
And this is the only reason why. I think my mom would be like so ecstatic. They're like, "Oh, there's like a woman he's dating." Fucking amazing. Like I had all but given up hope of grandchildren. I will do. I mean, it would have to be so egregious.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, what would the? You know, actually, the one thing she might, and this, you know what? No, I take it back. I really wonder if the girl was really religious and somehow I'd made peace with that. How my mom would feel about it.
Like she goes to church every fucking day, kind of thing.
I think. That's the thing. You know what? Here's the thing. I think in that case, if she was really, really religious, but she kind of like kept it to herself, my mom would be like, all right, whatever. It is what it is. Grandbabies. Yeah. But
what if she liked to like she'd come over for dinner and she's talking about Jesus Christ
exactly.
and that kind of shit over there.
She's like forcing us all to say like
Yes.
a prayer before meals.
That
and
kind of shit.
She's like, oh, if we just pray a little bit harder, we can fix this. And my mom, I think that might push her over the edge. But here's the thing: I don't see a scenario where like I would. For me, I don't have a problem if someone is like conservative Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Quite as much, but on the swipe left, swipe right thing, if I see conservative Christian, I just swipe left because I'm like, it's not gonna work out from their perspective. Like, let's not even go down that road.
Yep.
It just won't.
Okay.
I'm gonna say like within 5 minutes of talking to them, if they bring up anything to do with like worldview, that's just not like, do you like volleyball? Do you like, it'll go south. So I just skip that whole thing. What if you're looking at their profile and they say, I'm the funniest person I know?
I left. I think saying that out loud and putting that out loud is going to be first of all, it's going to be a red flag that you're probably not that funny, or you just think that highly of yourself that you're the funniest. Like there's different types of humor. Different people like the vulgar shit. Some people like slapstick. Some people hate the political comics. So it's like for you to say that I'm the
because
funniest,
by and large they're not funny.
Yeah,
and I mean that across the board.
Yeah,
that is not a political.
But yeah, I think
allegiance thing.
I think if you tell yourself that you're the funniest person you know, you maybe you're just a little too full of yourself.
Lack some self-awareness.
Yeah.
Well, because you know what my thing with that is, like, if you're so funny, then like fucking show not tell.
Yeah.
That you remember your high school English teacher being like, you gotta show it in your writing, just don't say it. It's like, do something funny. Like, yeah, if you're more slapstick, then have a funny picture in there.
Yeah.
Like maybe writing's not your thing, but there's other ways to express that.
Yeah.
And that is one where like if they say I'm the funniest person I know, then I'll kind of look through their profile. I'm like, is there anything even remotely funny?
Yeah.
And I've never seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen plenty of profiles where I'm like, this is kind of fucking hilarious. And, my estimation of that person goes way up. But never have I seen a profile that seems legitimately funny. And then they're like, I'm the funniest person I know.
Yeah. Like she's doing a duck face.
And exactly. And they say it in that exact tone. That's exactly. I'm the funniest person I know. Everyone tells me that.
All right.
It's hilarious.
All right. How about this one?
Dealbreaker. Sorry, what?
I think it's going to be for you. She has a completely different 180-degree political viewpoint than yours, but she's a 10. So she's smoking hot, but you guys do not see eye to eye on any political stuff.
Well, so let's qualify what's political. Is climate change political?
She doesn't believe in climate change.
Oh, a deal breaker.
Okay.
So that's one where it's like they can have a very different. They don't even have to be a 10. They could have a very different political view than I do, but there needs to be like some logical consistency.
Yeah.
And if she's like climate change isn't real, it's like, bitch, go outside. Like Colorado's catching on fire. Like you don't have to. This isn't like a hypothetical. Like maybe it will happen in the future. We're in the process of climate change happening. Like we can see all these upticks, and and if she's that far removed where she's like, yeah, like the whole scientific community is 100% united on this. There's all this just empirical evidence that this is a thing. But I read this Facebook post, and they were very convincing. There was a
so it's safe to
poorly made graph, and how can you argue with a Facebook graph? I'm like, no, I'm out. I'm sorry.
So it's safe to say that when you're looking for like a dating app and all that bullshit,
yeah,
like political viewpoint is higher up on all the other 20, 30 things to judge a woman by, but politics is kind of high up on that.
No, not at all.
Oh,
that's what I just said. Like they could be conservative. Like conservative isn't an automatic swipe for me. Christian isn't. It's like the combo of the two. I'm like, it's probably not going to work. But one by themselves. I mean, someone can believe in Jesus. That's fine. And then yeah, if you just think that we need to have smaller government and a lot of our federal government programs are inefficient, and you're like, yeah, look at this one and this one. I'm like, yeah, a lot of our big federal government programs are inefficient. That is a logical point. I mean, I think that we need to have ones that are more efficient, and it's not the answer isn't getting rid of them, but like what you're saying like holds water, and yeah, like that's fine. You believe what you want to believe. We'll just vote different. I don't care.
All right, your turn.
She's got like a list of qualifications, and it's like you when you're looking at them, you're like, yeah,
Oh no,
yeah,
no.
like no, I think I meet all these,
No.
but she's not saying anything about herself. It's like,
yeah. How about this? Like when I see, because there's a lot of women, dude. I'm sorry. This is what's that one fucking Kevin Samuels or the black dude that was like, women especially have. Most of them have like a list of to-dos of what their guy has to have. Like most of them, and they put that on their profile. It's like, let me just to be honest. Number one, that deters all guys. That doesn't match every single check thing on that list. That deters them from even like thinking or to shoot their shot. They think like, oh, I got 8 out of 10 on her fucking quiz. No, you know what? Fuck this. Never mind. And even if you did match the 10 on 10, you're still kind of like, God damn, this bitch is pretty picky.
I do really enjoy one. I thought I saved it on my phone. I was trying to find it where it was like extremely high of a bar.
Yeah.
It was like you need to be like 6 foot and extreme and very successful and making like, 7 figures and like all this shit. And then you like look at her picture and you're like, you're a cave troll.
So there's a guy, I think his name is Kevin Samuels. He just passed away like a month or two ago. And he was just a black dude that used to have a TikTok channel and like a social media thing where he was like paid by both women and men to help them be better at relationships and like finding their matches. He's kind of like a dating guru. I don't know. Probably not describing.
He's Hitch. He's Will Smith in the movie
Sure.
Hitch.
And he very regularly highlighted those things that you just mentioned, like a woman. Like he'd have like this chick on there. He'd ask her questions like, "How tall are you?" And she would answer like you said 5'2". All right, what's your weight? And her answer is like, oh, I don't think I should answer that question. And he's like, okay, moving on to the next question. How do you rate yourself on a 0 to 10 scale? And she would say, oh, I'm a 9 or a 10. And he'd be like, So you already have problems. Number one, you don't want to tell me your weight. Like that's a big red flag that you're either short and fat or you're like maybe an average looking, but you're not physically fit. Because a hot chick will say, "Oh, I'm fucking whatever."
Mondo, I'm almost tempted to make a profile just so I can see what guys in our age group look like. Because like I have no idea where I am on a 10-point scale at this point. Because I feel like age groups now are a little bit like UFC weight classes. It's like like the bantamweight fighters are incredible and they're so skilled and everything. And a 10 out of 10 bantamweight fighter is going to be able to do all this stuff. Then once you get up to like light heavyweight, maybe a 10 out of 10 light heavyweight's not going to be able to do all that shit because they're just kind of big oafish and they're not actually athletic enough to play a real sport that would guarantee them millions and millions of dollars. So they're fighting in a cage for a living. And like the bantamweights are just too small for that. So so I'm saying it like a 10 out of 10 lightweight and a 10 out of 10 bantamweight isn't the same thing.
You're saying that dating apps should have weight classes? Is that what you're saying?
The ages are the weight classes. So like if I'm like trying to match with a 28-year-old,
why not the weights being the weight classes?
Well, that's part of it. That's part of what goes into it. But that's the thing, weight wise and like physically, like that's one thing that's still more or less held up for me. But I'm definitely lower if I'm on the 9 out of 10 or the 10-point scale if I'm trying to match with a 28-year-old than I am if I'm trying to match with a 40-year-old.
Gotcha.
Now, but like other than you, like there's not a lot of 40-year-old guys that I hang out with, so I just don't know how to rank myself in there.
Going back to the whole, I'll make it quick. Going back to the whole Kevin Samuels thing, he basically tells this girl like, look, you're like a 6 at best. And what she demands on her list is literally a 10. Like a guy that makes 6 figures, he's got to have shit together. He can't have kids from a previous marriage. Like all these things. And it's like, wait a minute. So you're a 6 asking for a 10? Be reasonable.
That's a swipe left for me. If they're like, you have to have your shit together, I'm like, oh, okay, left.
I think it's understandable for someone to go like a couple degrees up or below where you think you are. I mean, sometimes we're not realistic enough with who we are. That's the problem. But women are very good about like, if they don't feel like they're climbing up, they're like, fuck no. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I was wondering it, because I'm usually my own harshest critic, but I think I can be pretty objective when I'm evaluating things. So I'm like, I'm probably like a 6 right now, maybe, but
no, dude, I'm a 6. I think you're like an 8 or a 9.
See, but that's why I think we have different things. Wait, so whose turn is it to go?
Um,
I don't think there's any way in the world I'm a 9 on the women evaluating scale because they evaluate on different things.
the last question I remember saying was the one about different political viewpoint. What was the last one you recall?
Oh, I said the list of qualifications.
Okay,
so
yeah,
you're
yeah.
up.
Okay, so it's my turn. Yeah, the list of qualifications, like no, automatically you think too highly of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
My turn. Every time you go out, she insists that you hold her purse for her. You're just a little,
Like literally everywhere.
yeah.
And what if I'm like, okay, let's just leave it in the car? She's like, no, fucking.
She's
hold
like,
it.
no, I need it because I have my tampons in there, my makeup, and my blah 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 blah.
Every time, everywhere, no matter what.
Mm-hmm. But every time you're out in public, like not obviously not at home.
Is it a big? It's like a big like Gucci purse too, isn't it?
No. It's just a little, little dainty little. I don't know purse sizes. Let's just say it's like a 10-inch.
Is it a satchel?
No, it's not a satchel.
A
It's
messenger bag?
It's not. It's not like a big like. Holy shit! This guy's
A fanny
carrying-
pack?
Bigger than that.
No, I'm asking. Is it literally a fanny pack?
Oh no, it's not a fanny pack.
It's just like a dainty little purse.
It's a purse.
She's like, I just need my.
It's not like one of them stupid like purses that you could only fit 3 things in. Like
Oh, okay.
it's like a medium-sized purse, like the
Okay.
size of a laptop.
All right. Oh, that's a tough one. I think it's a deal breaker. I feel bad. Like I feel like it shouldn't be, but there's just a part of me like, no, I'm happy to, especially if we're out shopping or something and you just don't want to take it into a store. Like that's cool. I don't want to hold your purse all the time.
Yeah.
I don't even want to hold a wallet. I have gone out of my way now where to get phones where I can have these little like stash cases.
Yeah.
So like I don't even carry a wallet. I just have an ATM card, a credit card, and my health insurance card, and that's it. And I don't carry cash. I don't carry a wallet.
You usually
just
carry
a phone.
You usually have your little headphones around your head too.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
But that would be really weird if I was like, hey, could you carry my headphones? No, I just fucking put those in my pocket
Yeah.
like an adult.
All right, your turn.
Although it's fair, women don't have pockets.
The purse is their pocket.
Yeah, no, I was just sort of thinking, I'm like, man, they do have that working against them. That some of their clothing will have visible pockets and they're not even real. Like who the fuck came up with that?
They're just like the stitch-on looking ones. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So you know what? I mean, women, I'm sympathetic with your plight. I understand your need to have a purse all the time and not want to carry it, but I also don't want to carry it. It's 2 of us. I have the same feeling. So we're on the 4th one.
Mm-hmm.
What if they have a name that it's just like a freaking weird spelling, like it's like Ashflorney, or it's like
Ashflorney?
it's I don't know. I just tried to come up with something at the top of my head.
Or like LaFonda?
No, it's like close to a normal name, but it just doesn't quite get there. It's like Cinder, and you're like, what?
Or I don't know. I think that it depends. It depends on how goofy the fucking name is. Let's just be real. If they're trying to marry 4 different names into one, it kind of God damn it. Like
I mean, that was their parents, not them.
I still like. Can you? Is there like? Can I abbreviate your name? Like if her name is Anne Fernie, like you said, can I just call you Anne? Like does it offend her if I call her Anne? Like, or does she like
It's her name's like Ashla, and she
Ashla?
100% you have to call her Ashla, and she gets very upset if people call her Ashley. Like it pisses her off because it was a thing her whole life. Her parents gave her this name where it's like your brain is like your name is Ashley, and she's had to deal with this her entire life. People are calling her by the wrong thing, so she gets super offended.
I got your answer.
Yeah,
it's a swipe right, but it's only a bang. It's not a date or a relationship after that. It's just like, oh, okay, fucking Ashla, let's fuck, and then after that, I'm not gonna call you ever again.
You know what? That's one I could respect. I'm like, you can't choose your name. You had to deal with this your whole life. Like I'm on board. Hey, motherfucker. Her name is Ashla, not Ashley. Get it right.
You know that was a movie about that. It's the other guys. Will Ferrell is kind of like a man whore, and they go back and like talk to one of his exes that is like still madly in love with him, even though she's in a different relationship. And her name is Christineth.
Christineth, exactly.
He's like, her name is Christineth. She gets mad if you call her Christina, Christine, or something. Like, yeah, like I would. Those chicks are crazy, so that's what I'm saying. Like, you could fuck them, but like that don't expect.
I don't know if they're. I mean, I think that's an acceptable amount of crazy, born from a real and frustrating thing. I get it.
Sure.
I mean,
Just don't be crazy about it.
the one that's tougher is when it's like Caroline, and they're like, no, it's Caroline with a K. You spelled it with the C. It's like, okay, how is that person supposed to know?
You know what?
Chill out, Caroline with a K. Take some deep breaths.
I just remembered one of my good older friends. He's retired. You know, his wife. His name is Colleen, not Colleen, not Colleen.
Oh, no.
It's Colleen. But look. Let me tell you, she is a saint. She's a sweetheart. She's the nicest fucking again, they're older, they're retired. She's such a fucking great person. Like really, but her name is Colleen.
They're like, do we want to name her Colleen or do we want to name her Colin? And they're like, you can't name her Colin. They're like, okay, truce, Colleen, fine. Oh,
I feel mean because I really like her. I feel mean for having brought that up.
sorry, Colleen. Our apologies.
Am I next?
Yes, you're next.
Last one, yeah. Okay. She belches loudly and especially after meals in public.
Whatever.
You're okay with it?
I mean, yeah, whatever.
You're in the middle of like a 5-star dining hotel, like.
But it's like just after meals. Is it like she's like? Does she have some sort of intestinal problem where she's like constantly belching? She's like, no, I don't want to go see a doctor.
No, she's just gross.
Just belch it. Whatever.
You just go to a fucking fancy restaurant. You fucking waiters with their fucking hand towel deals and fucking ties and shit. You know, you spent $100 a plate, and she just finished eating. You're fucking picking her teeth, and she's like, "Bah."
I would be mortified the first time it happened, but if everything else was great, I'd just build up some mental calluses and be like, "This is a weird thing." But if it was just that, if this wasn't indicative of just a general lack of just grace, and you know she's like terrible to people and she just doesn't care how she acts, if it was just that one thing, like whatever, fuck it.
All right.
And here's the last one. Is there a level for you where she is too attractive? Like you look at the photo and you're like, oh no.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Really?
Yeah, all the time.
Why?
I think like I said, I think I'm reasonable about what I'm working with. I really
Right.
think I don't think like, oh my god, I'm ugly, but I'm definitely not a 10 on the look scale. I think I'm reasonable about like where I judge my physical, right? And if she's like super smoking hotter than me, I it's hard for me to like I have done that 100 bajillion times on the dating app where it's like, oh, you're too fucking hot for me.
Are you doing it because you think they won't want to match with you, or because
Yes.
you would feel uncomfortable? Okay, that's weird.
Yes.
That's very strange to me.
Yes. I assume.
You know their 10-point scale, like the thing that they base their
Yeah.
9,
yeah.
10, it's not the same as us.
But here's the thing: is
Yeah.
I still assume most women are just as vain.
They're not.
I believe they are, but that
Like-
in my mind,
Well, like they are, but that's what I'm saying. It's not about the same things. It's not like purely just like a physical attractiveness.
yeah, no, but like I said, in my mind, they are at way more vain than I am, and I just
Weird.
I just can't.
So
get that.
you wouldn't have an issue where you're like, if she was really into you and somehow that happened, you wouldn't be like, oh, you're just too attractive. I feel awkward in this relationship. It would be more like you're more like, oh, she just doesn't want to match with me, so I'm not even going to try. I will preemptively reject myself.
Yes, the other one, the second one you said, but also a little bit of the first thing you said. It if she was like into me and wanted to date me, it would still be kind of hard. There would be something in my mind that says, whoa, this chick is way too hot. She's eventually gonna fucking like want to split on me.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense to me. The rejecting yourself, just like baller, shoot your shot.
Oh no, I don't. I'm the opposite of that.
Okay. Oh, that is the one thing I realized. I don't know how the Bumble algorithm works, but if you pay however many dollars for ultimate swipes, I swear your match ratio is better. Like you match more people.
Really?
I think they've got it rigged where it's like you can still match.
I never paid for the Bumble thing. Years back I paid for the Match.com one. I think it was one of the original ones. I paid for that, and right now I'm on not Tinder. What the fuck is Hinge?
Hinge is one. Yeah.
I'm on Hinge, but I'm like on it like once a week, if that, like just for a few minutes.
I didn't do this
But I don't pay
scientifically.
for-
Like I wasn't like logging all my swipes and saying, okay, this person is this attractive and so forth and so on. So this is largely anecdotal, but I just felt like I got way more matches when I'd paid for it, and it could have been because I had unlimited swipes and I was just swiping like a madman. But I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think just from my experience, I'm like, I feel like they sent more matches my way because they gave them money.
Good for you.
Freaking capitalist app.
Yeah. No, there's only been one time that I've ever paid for those dating things, and it didn't work during that time. I think I went on 1 or 2 dates, and it was like, eh. But yeah, that was Dealbreakers, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on to the wonderful world of Reddit. Ask Reddit question number 1, Aaron.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, I had a burp. Who or what has the worst fan base and why?
I think it is still UFC fans. And I say UFC, like specifically UFC, because I think people who are fans of like the other promotions are actually like pretty cool. They tend to be like a lot more knowledgeable. They're martial arts connoisseurs and appreciators. Whereas, remember when we were talking about like what we were picturing like the ideal Crowder fan was, where it's like the pickup truck and trucker hat selfie. Like there are a lot of those mouth breathers out there in the UFC fan base, and they're all extremely opinionated. They are, I mean, the level of pressure and sort of scrutiny that UFC fans UFC fighters go through isn't on the scale of like a huge NBA star. There's just not as big of a fan base. Like they're not out there as much in the media, but like what they do have to go through is so condensed and pressurized into that one night. NBA players play 72 or 80 something games in the regular season.
A bajillion.
Yeah, and then like a ton in the playoffs. And it's like if you have 1 or 2 or even 5 bad. There is a player in the finals that had arguably like 3 really bad games, but he played 2 great ones, and everyone's like talking about how great he is at the end of the series.
Yeah.
Right. A fighter. I mean, they might fight twice, maybe 3 times a year, and if they have one off night. Maybe they're a little bit sick. Maybe they just didn't sleep well, whatever. It's like, but these people will go after them, just talk so much shit. And then they also are just some of the most uneducated, ignorant people about the sport. I'm assuming in general, but definitely about the sport I've ever met. I can't stand them.
With MMA, the type of MMA fans that I have a problem with are usually from two things. Like, I've never trained in jiu-jitsu, nor striking, or any other like martial arts discipline at all. And there are other people like me that have never trained, never done the goddamn thing. And they're like, oh, they should have thrown the 1-2 combination, blah, blah, blah. Like,
yeah.
You don't know footwork. You don't know. And I don't pretend like I know any of that stuff. And even the stuff on the ground. Like, I don't pretend to know any of the grappling transitions and how to do this, how to make this happen. Before some of those guys out there that think they know what they should be doing, like, shut up. That's the first type. The second type are the...
Wait, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
But I think... Because I heard you talking, I'm like, I feel like I'm a little bit guilty on that front. Because as far as grappling goes, I probably have grappled way longer than the average UFC fighter. But zero striking experience. But I will... the things that I'm asking them to do are relatively simple. There was one fight we were watching live when we were at LFA, and I'm like, could you please just throw a jab? Like, if you remember, this guy was just throwing these big, like, haymaker looping punches, and he could never land them. And I was like, dude, I objectively, I know it's one of the best punches in striking because I've heard so many striking experts say that.
Yeah.
Could you just throw a fucking jab? But I've never thrown a jab in a fight. Oh, that's not true. I've thrown in street fights, man. Mondo, I'm out on the streets.
The second type of MMA fan that fucking drives me nuts are the ones that are like trying to impress their girlfriend or their friends or the people they're hanging out with by spitting out certain facts where the fact they are spitting out is false. Like they'll be like, oh, and they'll say like, let's just pick a light heavyweight that's never won the belt. Anthony Reyes, right? Or
Dominic Reyes or Anthony Smith?
Dominic Reyes. That's what I meant.
Oh, they had a love baby.
Yeah.
Anthony Reyes.
So Dominic Reyes never won the UFC lightweight belt, but for one guy to like.
Just Anthony Reyes' hairline is fucked. Sorry, kid.
So Dominic Reyes this guy is like, maybe he's trying to impress his friends or his girlfriend. Like, oh yeah, that guy Dominic Reyes used to be a champion back in 2004. Like, no.
Oh, and then they just get it wrong.
When they get like factual things wrong,
yes.
That annoys the fucking shit out of me. Like that's fucking like, oh dude, you're just bullshitting. You're a bullshitter. Like
it would also. The one I've spoken about this before, it drives me nuts when they will call a fight a robbery, and then they'll start citing all these things. And I'm like, none of those go into the scoring. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, they're like, yeah, well, they held him against the fence for 2 minutes. I'm like, that doesn't score. The judges are not looking at that. That doesn't help or hurt them one way or the other.
All right.
And then they'll be like, did you even watch the fight? I'm like, dude. Oh, by the way, there were some good fights last night, and
I didn't watch them.
there is a main event that they're calling a robbery.
I didn't watch it. My answer to the who has the worst fan base and why, I would say people that watch The View. Like anyone that like they're like most shows will have like a fan base, right? Like there's the Dr. Phil people, there's the fucking Jersey Shore people. Like they just love the Kardashian people that worship Kardashians. I think people that follow The View and are like,
what are those people like,
dude? Like,
have you met them?
Who? The people
that,
oh no, I've not met them, but I assume if they watch the show and they're fans of the show, they're going to lean towards agreeing with most of those
maybe. I don't know.
Panelists on The View.
To me, it's unwatchable.
Yeah.
Like I could never watch The View. I just can't.
That's what I'm saying. Is like if you're a fan of it,
but who fucking there's other things that are unwatchable to me. Like some of the reality shows, like I cannot fucking stand them. But you meet the person, they're like, this is like just this thing I like. It's not my whole life. I don't know what a viewer is like. I've never seen one in the wild.
Yeah, that's the person that watches that is probably we're not gonna probably get along. Is what I'm trying to say.
Maybe you don't know though.
Maybe
they're just like sweet grandmas, and they're just like, that Whoopi is so funny.
Sweet ignorant grandmas.
Joy Behar is sassy.
Okay, so let's see some of the answers Redditors have for that. User just a guy with no name 1.
Meghan McCain reminds me of Sarah Michelle Gellar if she really just ate too much cookie dough ice cream. Like, I don't know.
We've kind of moved on from that, and I'm trying to answer the question.
Sorry, I'm just still on The View.
Yeah, I know. When you do that, it kind of the flow gets kind of. Anyway, just a guy with no name 1 writes James Charles. Who's James Charles?
I don't know.
The fact that he still has a fan base is amazing to me. Why is he famous?
Let's move on. We don't even know.
That's a dumb one. User PC Altair writes Hitler's fan base is not great. Are there really any Hitler fans out there?
Oh no, are you kidding?
Really?
Yes, of course.
Oh, you're like the super white supremacist.
Yes, like we were just Mondo. That's what I'm afraid of. You're gonna first they're like they take you to Steven Crowder, and then they're like, hey dude, like we're just gonna have this meeting. It's all cool. Oh yeah, we just sit back, we drink some beers. Oh, this my buddies bring this like really good craft beer, and you're like okay, and then they start saying, Mondo, like the white race really is superior, and you're like, you know what, you make some good points. The next thing we know, you've trimmed your mustache, so it's just like this little thing right under your nose. You're heiling Hitler, like you've got like swastika like tattooed on. You like tattoos? You get a swastika.
I wouldn't do that.
Mondo, you're on the slippery slope to being a Hitler fan.
No way, hell no.
Steven Crowder is like, he's like, you know how they said marijuana is like the gateway drug to all these hard drugs? He's like the gateway to being a Hitler fan. You're so close. I'm worried about you, Mondo.
All right, last one I'll read. This one's just for you, Aaron. User Shiden writes, I once said I preferred Ron to Harry and received death threats as a result.
Were they what?
Received death threats.
No. They preferred what?
Ron to Harry. Ron Weasley to Harry Potter.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Harry Potter is kind of like a whiny little bitch.
No, but I'm just saying that. Hold on, that was never mind. Forget it. It was funny. Yeah,
I don't even understand the.
Yeah. So this girl, this user, this Redditor has said one time she thinks Ron is better than Harry, and then she was receiving.
Oh, they're saying the Harry Potter fan base is.
Yeah.
I don't think that. Yeah, but I don't think that's typical. There's plenty of people who like Harry Potter and are just chill.
Are you a Weaselite? What's his last name? Weasley. Are you a Weasleyite?
Out of all the main characters, Harry's the worst one.
Okay.
So I guess. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's not really something I lay awake thinking. I'm like, fuck, who's better, Ron or Harry? Well, Harry is the chosen one, and he has the lightning scar, and he was the boy who lived. But Ron's got like a really cool household, and his mom makes like tasty things. Although it's kind of falling apart. And Harry's like, I'm not debating all these things, but now I'm kind of wondering. Okay, I'm gonna get back to you guys in the next episode. I will have a detailed list of why Ron or Harry is better. Next question.
Reddit question number 2. People of Reddit, what is the biggest what if of your life?
I have many.
Oh,
many what ifs. I'm gonna go with what if I kept doing YouTube.
You did it. You started doing it like when you were in high school. Yes, I believe.
No, I'm not that young. YouTube didn't come out until after I was out of college.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why do I imagine YouTube was around when we were in college?
It was not.
Okay.
So I think it came out at maybe like the very end of 2005 or sometime in
Okay.
2006.
So you wish you never stopped doing that and just kind of continued
I
that path?
I just wonder what would have happened, right?
Yeah.
Because speaking of myself as like sort of like a harsh critic, I looked at it where I'm like, wow, like I understand I'm having some success, but like I actually don't think I'm that talented of a performer. Like some of the opportunities I got, I had huge imposter syndrome where I'm like, why am I even here? Like I'm not one of these like content creator people who's really comfortable putting themselves out. I mean, just to give you an example, I had well, so first of all, I don't know if you I ever told you this. I got asked to audition for The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that one I'm like, well, one, I'm not an actor.
Yeah.
Like I'm so uncomfortable delivering the lines I've written for myself. I'm just not even gonna. And again, in my defense, it was before the pilot even came out.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just like, yeah, this show, The Big Bang Theory, and I'm like,
Yeah, you thought it was porn.
I don't know what this is. This is creepy as fuck. No, but even when there was this opportunity I got where this company was trying to like do product placement, like the same way they do in the movies, where they're like, we're gonna kill these aliens, but first I have to have a nice cold Coke, like that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to interject that into online videos, and so their idea was to get sort of like a stable of really popular video creators who could kind of just work these things in.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, I think the only reason I got invited was because no agenda, kind of apropos of nothing. I'd sent a very nice and supportive message to this girl who ended up kind of being like their poster girl for this whole campaign. And I think that's the only reason I can figure, because everyone else there had way more views than I did.
Mm-hmm.
And like I wasn't looking at it like, yeah, but maybe objectively some of my material is better written and better produced. And I was just like, I don't belong here. And these people, they had us do a photo shoot like day one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd watch them go from like just being very just normal somber people to all of a sudden the camera would come on and they just like light up and they're like, oh hi, high energy. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you're like I can't do that shit.
What is happening? I'm not one of you.
Yeah.
And then the funniest part was the whole culmination. They had us give also presentations of some of our videos. Mine did get a good pop there because there were, I can't remember what record label, but they were trying to get this record label to sign on as sponsors. And I made a video just hardcore roasting Cowboy Troy. Are you familiar? Probably not.
No.
He was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to combine country music and like hardcore rap.
Oh, nice.
And he called it like hip hop. And he was so, I mean, I'm not saying you can't do it, but Cowboy Troy was not the one to pull it off. And like I made this thing roasting him, and the execs thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay, I did a little bit better.
So in terms of not pursuing YouTube as a profession, what capacity would you be doing it? Would you be a writer for YouTube, or what would you?
Well, so this is the sort of last part. Let me just finish this one last thing. That whole weekend ended with this huge penthouse party, where like those label guys were there. The president at the time of Sirius Satellite Radio was there, and like the real like big fish was the president of Miramax Studios.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not the Weinstein that is in jail right now.
But the other one,
Bob Weinstein, was there, and like, one of the talent creator girls was like, "It's like I need backup. Come with me." And I'm like, "What? What are you fuck are you talking?" She's like, I think it's our turn to go speak to the big fish." And already I should have seen things were going poorly at this point, but she like drags me over. And she just goes and turns on all the YouTube high energy charm. She's like, "Oh, hi, Mr. Weinstein. I guess it's our turn to smooze." And he just goes, "No," and just gets up and leaves. Literally walks out of this party. I'm like, "Oh fuck, what have we done?" And I just turned to her. I'm like, "Do not tell anyone what happened." And then just like walked away. But at the end of it, it was what I viewed as a series of failures. Like, I didn't have big viral video hits. I'd gotten an interview for a management position as a fucking 25-year-old at YouTube. And I fucked that interview up. That went bad. I'm like, I think I just scared off like the biggest investor. I got to see all these people in person for the first time and could see them like, oh, like I'm not like them. And I never registered it to me that like yeah, maybe I'm weaker in some areas, I'm better in the others, but like I gotta just keep working. Like I can get better as an on-screen talent. Like I can figure out how to shift my content where it's gonna fit my personality and like what I'm good at a little bit better. Like I shouldn't look at this as failures. I should look at like, holy shit, even though none of them have hit, like look at the opportunities I got as a fucking dumbass 25-year-old. Like if I just keep doing this and get way better, like it's crazy. Like who knows what'll happen? But I didn't have that sort of growth mentality. I only looked at where I was, not where I could get to. And I kind of regret. I always wonder. I'm like, man, what if I had stuck with it? Like, how different would my life have been?
So you would still want to be like a personality, but just have it suit your.
I don't know. And that's the thing. I never played it out to see. I could see, and this is a way that a lot of other people have parlayed it. Like sometimes they use YouTube just as a way to kind of fuel something else they do. Like there's a fiction writer who, you know, he writes kind of like high fantasy, named Brandon Sanderson, and he just broke publishing because he had a fan base from his books, but then he started really going into YouTube during the pandemic. Because like I guess in pre-pandemic he was out there touring, like he's doing book signings, like he's going to promote his books the old-fashioned way, and he's like, fuck, I can't do that. All right, I'm going to start YouTube. And he was really bad at it when he started. These videos were almost unwatchable to me. And he got better, and he was growing his fan base. And then he wrote, separate from any publishing deals, just on his own, wrote 3 novels over the course of the pandemic. This guy's like, he almost put Stephen King to shame in some ways. But then he released all of his novels as a Kickstarter. And said, I just did these. One of them I just wrote for my wife, and she's like, no, you have to. To me, by the way, it's fucking crazy. He's like, I'm just gonna write a book just for you. But long story short, with that is he generated like $33 million in sales in like a week, just off of Kickstarter, and the whole publishing industry is like, what the fuck? But he was using YouTube to fuel this other passion. He doesn't want to be a YouTuber. He wants to be a writer. But he kind of put a lot of these promotional eggs in the YouTube basket, and man, did it pay off.
All right, my answer for that question is rather to get. I'll make it like it nice and quick.
Yeah, shit. My answer was too long. Sorry.
When I was younger, I ate shit. I was leaning back on a table or a chair, and I fucking hit my face pretty hard, and it ruined my fucking teeth. What if? Marvel's what if?
Sorry. What?
What if I didn't lean back in that chair and fuck my grill up,
right,
and I would have had like at least average to nice teeth now?
Right.
That's
so in your imagination, like, what is the butterfly effect from your teeth being perfect?
I don't know, just being able to smile more. People like attract women more. Like girls, you know, they want guys with nice teeth.
so you think that, and this I'm trying to follow this logically. This makes sense that perhaps your teeth getting messed up led to you kind of smiling less, which led to you being less approachable, which led to a general sort of grumpy demeanor. And this is all going to culminate in you being a hermit in a white nationalist compound.
Yeah. Also, like in a professional capacity, like I think just having like a Colgate smile like helps with your profession, with your career, and like in my case in sales, you know, it would have helped there too. So
well, that's one that fortunately it's not too late to write that. You might not want to pay the money, but it's
not even
on the table.
It's not even the money. It's just like
Invisalign, bro.
No, that's not for everybody.
Invisalign.
It's not for everybody. Anyway, let's read out some of the answers for the what ifs. User Drambox F writes, reverse what if. What if I hadn't done that one thing that ended up allowing me to meet the woman who is now my wife of 20 plus years? My life would be 2,000% different and in much, much more worse way.
Okay.
That was kind of long and dumb. User 84 Tech Noir writes, what if I stayed with the one woman that made me happy instead of going with the one that made my life easy? That's deep, bro. Some of these other what ifs are like super long. Last one I'll read. User Manny_Hayes writes, what if I never went to college and never moved to Atlanta?
Okay.
All right. That was it for Ask Reddit. Do we want to briefly recap Kava? Because we're already an hour and 4 minutes in.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Very brief recap. There's this like, is it Polynesian? There's this like Pacific Island root called Kava.
Okay.
That
I thought it was Kava Kava.
That is the full name.
Okay.
If you're buying it like in a store or something, it's probably just Kava, and it is a natural muscle relaxant.
Mm-hmm.
The way I've always described it is it's like kind of like being a little bit drunk if there was just zero cognitive impairment. Like you just kind of have that like kind of loose, relaxed feeling, but it just doesn't. At least for me, it doesn't screw with my mind at all. What was your experience with it?
Yeah, I think I said to you at one point, like after like half of a cup of the first, because we had 2 cups of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think halfway after the first cup, I was like, I'm either really tired from a long day of work, or this kava stuff is kicking in because I'm feeling kind of
getting sleepy.
No, maybe sleep. I don't know. It's not even sleepy. Like I still had the wherewithal to be alert and stuff, but it was like like you said, the body was relaxed, and it was a different feeling to me that because like when I've had pot, when I've had marijuana, your mind changes as well, or when you drink alcohol, your mind goes with it. Like you do. You know, your speech is different.
No one's gonna take kava and then be like, "Man, I gotta fucking fight that guy. I don't like the way his face looks."
Well, with weed too, but doesn't do the whole psychedelic-ish thing he does. It just
correct. Not my knowledge.
It's just your body
Relaxation.
Yeah.
And so, I haven't looked outside of Denver, but in Denver there are 3 kava bars where instead of alcohol, they're serving kava, and the one in Colfax, which is like in a little bit fancier, like they'll have like kava mixed drinks and everything like that. That was not our experience with this place. Do you want to just quickly walk through what we were greeted with when we entered the Karma House in Lakewood?
When I walked in, within a matter of a few minutes, I got the sense that they were kind of sort of hippy dippy-ish people there, like people that, or I also I thought like, some of these people are here because they're using, like maybe they were former alcoholics or drug users or something. They're using kava as a substitute for something like kind of
very possible,
addictive that they had that was probably doing their life more harm than good.
There were a lot of ear gauges.
Yes.
Plentiful tattoos.
There was a guy sitting down playing the guitar, but he wasn't like, I think he was just like a patron. He wasn't like an employee or anything. He was just like,
oh yeah, no, there is no gig. There is no money exchange from the Karma House to that small weird gentleman.
There was a guy at the end of the kava bar that had his kava stuff, and then he had some like an empty shot glass of who knows what the hell they were giving away in shot glasses, and then he also had his vape pen and a box of cigarettes. So he had like his 4 vices all sitting in front of him. You know what I mean? Like maybe he had come from an AA meeting, and this was like his other form of releasing, chain smoking cigarettes, drinking this kava shit, puffing on this nicotine thing or weed thing. I don't know.
There were also at least a couple small children just scampering around.
Yeah, which is kind of weird.
Could not tell who they were with or if they were being attended at all. I don't know if kava just attracts children like a moth to a lamp, but that was weird. So anyhow, we get in, and somehow it didn't seem that crowded to me. But there was also no place to sit.
Yeah.
Which was weird. We had to take the seat next to the little weird guitar playing guy.
Yeah.
And he was like, people, and then ran away.
Yeah.
That was my impression of it.
And then we finally got some some high top bar. We had a second cup of that kava stuff.
Well, I enjoyed the fact that the bartender, when I asked him, I'm like, so like my friend's here, he's trying kava for the first time. What would you recommend? And he was a very mumbly man.
Yeah,
that's the nicest way to put it. He's like, "Oh yeah, you get the free," and I was like, "What?" I heard the word free. Okay, and he gives us the it seems like that place served kava only in bowls. I guess that's like the traditional way to take it. The other place you can get it in bowls, or you can get it more like I said, like an actual mixed drink. I realized like as we first started sipping it that I didn't even question what he gave us.
Yeah,
I was like, "Wow, we're in this weird place," and this guy's like, "Hey, drink this unknown substance," and I'm like, yes, let's do that. Yeah. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
And then there was another shortly after that. That was the second funniest thing that to me that happened. You want to walk them through that? You don't remember
what?
The ballot?
Oh, yeah. There's a guy like we literally just sat down. I think we took like a sip or 2 of each of our fucking kava drink, and some dude comes up to us wearing Birkenstocks and like kind of hippie-ish hair, kind of hippie-ish looking. He's like, "Hey man, do you guys live in Jefferson?" Or he asked us like if we're Colorado residents, right? Was that his first question? You're like, yeah. Like, hey, I got this initiative to like make mushrooms, like pass
psychedelics.
so they can pass them, make them legal, blah 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 blah, or decriminalize them, I guess.
Yeah.
And so sign this petition. We're like, all right, I guess.
I had a moment where I'm like, do I really want to be giving this dude my address?
Yeah.
You know what? Went in the Karma House.
Yeah.
Do as the Kava drinkers do.
I kind of just want him to go away, and I was like, whatever. Here you go. Signature. Bye bye.
So yeah, there was that. I guess overall, I there were a lot of places I gave the Karma House low marks. Low marks on decor. I really didn't think they tried that much. Low marks on it not being air conditioned. That would have been great.
Yeah.
Low marks on service. It took us a very long time to get anything.
Yeah. I think my biggest problem with the service part of it was when we wanted to get our second cup, you went up to ask the guy, like, hey, what was this first one you gave us, and we want to try something different, or something along the lines of like, hey, try something different. And then they have like 3 or 4 different types of kava on the board, and you were like trying to figure out, like, you like asked him like, what's the difference? And the guy's answer was kind of,
he was like, well, it's from different places. And I was like, what?
like, duh, you should know.
What
like,
fucking places, buddy? Like, yeah, I mean,
like we're there, we want a little education, bro. Where this is our first time, like wow us with facts of shit that you know about kava that we don't as first timers. And the guy was like, oh, they're just different regions.
He's like, I'm sorry, sir. I'm allergic to repeat business, and now I will mumble incoherently.
I wanted to know, do they taste different?
They did taste different.
Do they make you feel differently? Does one is more fast acting than the other? Like educate me, you fuck. And he was just kind of like blah blah blah.
So the one place I gave it very, very high marks for was weirdness. I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to a kava bar, I want it to be a little fucking weird. And maybe this place went above and beyond on the weirdness, but like I appreciated that, at least for a first time. All in all, for me, it as weird as it was, it felt enjoyable to be doing something that felt a little bit normal, like just going out to a bar. And like all my like neck and head issues, the kava actually kind of diminishes them a little bit because it's a muscle relaxer. Like the biggest problem I have is all these little muscles in my head spasming when I'm trying to sit at like a bar stool or something. So that was nice. I give the Karma House for me a 6 out of 10, and I would like to try one of the other maybe less weird, slightly better customer service kava bars.
I would not. Kava is not something I would drink like, oh, let's go have kava. But like if you were like, hey, you want to go hang out, have kava somewhere, I would go again. I would not say no. It did leave. Forget the bitterness stuff. I anticipated bitterness. It was more like it left like a chalky tongue feeling thingy on my tongue that I didn't really like. The taste, I don't give a shit. It tastes like dirty dishwater. It was like whatever.
Well, yeah, that was the thing. The other place figured out how to make it actually tasty with their mixed drinks.
Like I said, the taste didn't bother me. It was the tongue feel I got.
All that though.
But
that's what I'm saying.
But yeah, I would
just the actual like mouth experience was better.
I want to go somewhere where again, like you said, they kind of value repeat business, and they kind of want to give you a little education. Like, hey, we're here, teach us some shit that we don't know already. So anyway, that was it for the Kava weekend recap. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We will talk to you guys in a week. Bye bye.